Hello, everybody, and welcome to Boston Balling. I'm your host, Gabby Hurlbut. Happy to bring you all another episode of the show. Happy Wednesday. We are about halfway through the week. So good luck with the rest of your week. Hope everyone had an awesome weekend. Hope all the dads out there had a great Father's Day. Shout out to my dad. He's the best. Love you if you're listening, Dad. Always appreciate everything that you do for me and the rest of my family as well. So shout out to all of you. Hope everyone's having a great start to their week. I'm really excited for this episode. A great guest with me today that I want to bring on former NFL running back, played for the Patriots. You guys all know him. Has a book out now too, which we're going to touch on a little bit later in the show. But Tony Collins, how are you today?
Doing good, Abby. Gabby, how you doing?
Doing well. Yeah, I'm happy to have you here on the show with me.
Good to be here.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. I'm really excited to have you. I know, you definitely had a really good career within the NFL. Definitely curious about all of that. But before we dive in here, can you just give a little bit of a background as to how your career started, how you really got into it?
Well, I grew up in a small town in upstate New York, about 50 miles south of Rochester, called Penn
Okay.
Yan. It's a really small town on Cuca Lake. If you know the Rochester area, you probably heard of Penn Yan, New York.
I
And
went to Ithaca College,
oh,
so
did you? So you
yeah,
okay?
yeah.
All
So I
right,
know
cool.
that area pretty well.
Yeah, you know the area. Real cool. That's cool. But yeah, I grew up there and just had a goal. I'm from a family of 16, and
Oh
I
wow.
had a goal to
Yeah.
play in the NFL at the age of 10. And the crazy thing about it is, all my brothers, I had like 7 older brothers, and we all wanted to play football. We all wanted to play in the NFL. And it's a crazy story. I think I was maybe like 8 or 9 years old, and I went to my mom and I told my mom, I said, "Mom, I'm going to play in the NFL." Not knowing what I was doing at the time, but I was speaking my future into the present. And so had a good high school career. We were a really small school. Actually, we were the number one small school in upstate New York my senior year, and we were undefeated. Had a perfect season, and we had 2 guys. Well, me and another guy, Chris Chrissy, was on that team. He went off to Princeton, and I went to East Carolina University. I tell you that story in a minute, how I got to East Carolina University. But we both played on that team, and we both got drafted by the New England Patriots in
Oh, wow.
1981. It's really crazy how that worked out. But yeah, I went off to East Carolina University, and I had signed a letter of intent. This is 1977. I had signed a letter of intent to go to the University of Florida. I had a visit, and so your senior year you get 5 visits, 5 official visits, and so my 4th visit was to the University of Florida, and I was really excited. I was probably more excited about getting on the airplane because I had never been on the airplane before in my life. And so
Oh
when
wow.
when you're from a family of 16, you don't fly too often. Uh, so I was really excited to get on the airplane. Got on the airplane for the first time. Went down to Gainesville. Had a great recruiting visit, and their colors were orange and blue. My high school colors are orange and blue. So I'm going to the University of Florida. So it was a done deal. And I get back home, and East Carolina University calls me up on the phone, and I had never heard of East Carolina University before in my life. And they called me up. Pat Dye was there. I don't know if you remember Pat Dye. He's a legend at Auburn. Also, he's actually a legend at East Carolina too. But he went on to Auburn, and they won a national title down there with Bo Jackson. But he calls me up on the phone and says, "Would you like to come for a visit?" I was saying, I'm pretty much committed to University of Florida, but he said you can still come for a visit and just check us out. And my first question was, "Are you guys gonna fly me down?" He says, "Yeah, we're gonna fly you down." So I was like, "Hell yeah, I'm gonna get on the plane for a second time." So the only reason I went to East Carolina was to get on the airplane again, and got down to East Carolina, and Pat Dye took me out to dinner, and he said two things to me. He said, "Son, if you come here, you get an opportunity to play, and you get an opportunity to play in the NFL." The coach at University of Florida said that they're going to probably redshirt me my first year because they had a bunch of running backs at the time, and so I called home. I told my mom and my dad and my brothers, and I said, "I don't want to go to Florida anymore. I want to go to East Carolina." It was like, "Are you crazy?"
Wow. What a crazy story that is.
And so, yeah, man, I remember my dad said, I heard of North Carolina, I heard of South Carolina, but where in the hell is East Carolina? So that was the story how I got to East Carolina, and I guess I made the right choice, because I got drafted in the second round by the New England Patriots in 1981.
Yeah, that's crazy. I feel like I know a couple people from high school that went to East Carolina, but I hadn't heard of that school before they committed there. And I was like, where even is that? Like, where in the Carolinas is that school?
Yeah,
I didn't even know where it was located or anything. And then I looked
right.
it up just because I was curious because people from my high school were going there. But that's a crazy story that they were able to change your mind that much because you seem pretty set on Florida.
Yeah, I was. And it was just the words that came out of his mouth. And, he was a great coach. You have those coaches, in your lifetime of playing ball, you have those different coaches. And he was definitely one of the top two coaches that has ever coached me as a head coach anyway,
Yeah, that's actually interesting because I was going to ask you. I had a question from one of my really loyal listeners, James Jordan Rosario. Shout out to him. I appreciate you always listening to the show. He wanted to know from you who your most influential coach you would say was in your career.
I have two. One, Pat Dye from East Carolina, and the other one was Raymond Berry when I was with the Patriots. Actually, Raymond Berry to me, he was the reason why the Patriots went to their first Super Bowl in 1985. He came in and just did an excellent job with us. He taught us really how to win, and he's just a great super person anyway. But he also, everybody knows Raymond Berry. He's a Hall of Famer, and just he knows football, and just but more than anything, he's just a great person.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. It's always interesting to see what coaches really impacted people throughout their career because that story is different for everybody, kind of where that comes from. And so being able to work with somebody who has had that much success in the game you probably learned so much from somebody like him.
Yeah, it was great, man. My first year when I got to New England, Ron Earhart was there, and we I think we went 2-14 my rookie season. I was never used to losing, and it was just I had a great individual season. I got rookie of the year, but we only won 2 games the whole year, and then they fired Ron Earhart. They brought in Ron Myers. And Ron Myers is from SMU. So now you got guys on the team like John Hanna and Pete Brock and, older guys. He's coming in with this college attitude, I'm just my second year in the league. So, I'm all about it anyway. But, the older guys, they just didn't click when Ron Myers got there. And then I think he stayed for maybe 2 or 3 years. And then Raymond came in and, everything just came together when Coach Berry took over the team.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's really cool. Who were some of your favorite players that you looked up to growing up that you were like, I want to be like this person one day?
Well, the guy who I want to be, because the number that I wore was Tony Dorsett. I used to love to watch Tony Dorsett when he was at Pittsburgh, and then when he got drafted by the Cowboys, and so I was a big Tony Dorsett fan. And my rookie season, I got a chance to play against him, and so it was pretty cool to meet him and everything on the field. And I told him that, the reason I wear this number because of you. So that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. He ran for about 170 yards against us and beat us pretty bad on the Monday Night Football. But it was cool meeting him.
Yeah, I've always wondered what that's like for players because you look at the younger players in the league now who play against some of the older players in the league that have been playing for a while. And I sit there and I'm like, they have to have looked up to this person when they were younger, when this person started in the league. So you have to wonder what that's like when they eventually play against them. Like, wow, I got to the same place as this person that I've looked up to for a while.
Yeah, it is pretty neat to meet your idol, growing up. And I was, he was probably maybe 7 years or 8 years older than me, but I remember him, in middle school when he was at Pittsburgh, whatever he were. I remember him running crazy at Pittsburgh, and I said I want to wear number 33. And the crazy thing about it was when I got to high school, we didn't have a high school jersey 33. I was like, are you kidding me? We don't have a high school jersey 33.
Of course not. Why?
So I couldn't wear 33 again until I couldn't wear 33 until I got to college. So I made sure I wore 33 when I got to the league.
That's so disappointing.
I know, right?
The one number you wanted, they don't have.
Crazy.
What did you feel like were some of the biggest challenges that came with transitioning from playing college football to the NFL?
I'm gonna be totally honest with you. From high school to college was the biggest transition for me, as far as when you're in high school, you're fast and you're strong, and but when you get to college, everybody's fast and strong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, and I worked my butt off in college. One of the things that my father used to always say, in order to be the best, you gotta do things that other people aren't doing. And so, I always did the extra. I stayed in the weight room and tried to work on my speed as much as I can. And so when I got to college, everybody's good, man. And so I had to even work harder when I got to college. And when the transition from college to the pros, meeting all that competition when I was in college, and man, it just spilled over. The only thing that was maybe a little bit difficult was make sure you learn that playbook. And so my rookie season was getting into the playbook and learning the playbook and making sure that, because as a rookie you don't want to make any mental mistakes. And so if you don't learn the playbook, you're not gonna play. And so one of the things that I used to do all the time was I would stay after practice, and Steve Brogan was really cool. My rookie season, he stayed after practice with me and worked with me and threw passes, coming out of the backfield. Because when I was in college, we ran the wishbone, and so you don't catch a lot of balls when you're running the wishbone, because you're running the ball all the time. And so I got to learn the offense really good. And Steve was a real cool, he was a starting quarterback and he's staying out with the rookie, So I thought that was pretty cool, him doing that.
That is pretty cool. Yeah, just help really taking that extra time, because not everybody would do something like that. Yeah, and definitely I feel like learning the playbook can be challenging for a lot of players when they enter the league. And it's interesting because you can definitely tell sometimes, I feel like, who struggles with that and who doesn't. And so it can be, especially if it's a really complex playbook to learn.
Yeah. The playbook is the biggest thing for a lot of players, because you got so it's a lot different from depending on what kind of offense you ran in college. And so we ran a wishbone offense in college, and so when you get to pros, there's no wishbone. So there's a whole different diagram. There's everything is different. So that was the biggest thing for me, was making sure I learned that playbook. And because when I got there, I was like the third string running back on the team my rookie season. I think Horace Ivy, he was from Oklahoma. He was the second string running back. And God, I can't think of the other guy's name. Vegas Ferguson was the number one running back at the time. But I had never been a third string running back before, and I was like, man, I am not satisfied being a third string running back. So I worked my butt off my rookie season, and I stayed after practice during training camp and everything, learning the plays. And the second week of training camp, Horace Ivory gets hurt. And so I move up to number 2 running back. And the last week of training camp, Vegas Ferguson goes down with an ankle. And so I get to start the very first game of the season against the Baltimore Colts. They're the Baltimore Colts back then. And I remember like today, I think I had like 85 yards, caught about 5 or 6 catches out of the backfield. And, my career was off and running. And I got Rookie of the Year. And it was just it was a great year individually for me, but as a team, we struggled a lot.
That's funny. How would you describe that environment of playing in New England?
I mean, I love the fans. The fans were great. I mean,
very passionate fan base.
Everything about the fans in New England, man. There's some loyal fans, and we were, especially my rookie season. We're 2-14, but people are still coming to the games. Still cheering us on, and a lot of those games that we played my rookie season, we never got killed. We never got blown out. We were in every game. We didn't know how to win. We just couldn't put it together. And so that was the thing. But man, I love New England. I love the fans in New England. I played for the Dolphins for 1 year, but it's nothing like the New England fans. I know every football team has their great fans, but the Patriot fans were really super.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a very, very passionate fan base. It's such a fun environment to be around. Even for me, just going to games as a Patriots fan, it's just always so fun how much energy everybody has, and everyone's feeding off of each other's energy. It's just super fun being there. It's a fun fan base to be a part of.
And it's also a lot of fun when you're winning too.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, exactly. When being a Patriots fan now is fun.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. And I mean, obviously, every football player strives to be able to have that experience of playing in the Super Bowl, which you got to do. So what was that like for you? Because obviously there's so much more pressure going into a game like that than a regular season game. So what is that experience like of really getting in that mindset when playing in a Super Bowl?
That was crazy fun. I can't even describe how much fun that was. I guess it was fun getting there. We were a wild card team. We were the underdog team. All our games in the playoffs were on the road. I remember we went to the Jets, the first playoff game. Nobody thought we were going to win. We beat the Jets, and then we had to go out to L.A. And the Raiders, Howie Long and Marcus Allen, not Marcus Allen, Marcus Allen was there. No, Marcus Allen was not there. Where was he there? He was there. Marcus Allen was there in '85. Yeah, I mean, they had a football team. They had, they were the team that was supposed to go to the Super Bowl. Well, one of the favorites to go to the Super Bowl. Went out to L.A., beat them. Then we had to play the Dolphins in Miami. So we went from New York, went out to LA, then from LA we went straight to down to Miami. We didn't even go home after the Raiders game. And so no one thought we were going to beat the Raiders. I mean, no one thought we were going to beat the Dolphins. The Dolphins were the only team that year that beat the Chicago Bears in the regular season. And so everybody wanted to see the Chicago Bears and the Miami Dolphins playing the Super Bowl again, but we had other thoughts, and so we hadn't won a game down in Miami for like 19 years, So everybody thought, this is going to be it's not going to happen, but we beat them pretty bad. we beat them. I can't even remember the score. It wasn't even close, to put it to you that way. But it was so much fun getting to the Super Bowl, and but when we got there, Chicago Bears they had a great defense, and they were just a much better team than we were at that time, and we didn't play well at all that game, but it was so much fun getting there, and tell you about the Super Bowl. The biggest hype is the weeks before the Super Bowl, because you got to go through all the media. They got to talk to you and everything with that. But once the game started, it was like just like another game, But but at the same time, you're playing in the Super Bowl, and millions and millions of people are watching you. But it was a fun time for us, fun time for me. We were the first, being the first Patriot team to go to the Super Bowl. We didn't win it, but we were the first Patriot team to go to the Super Bowl, and so I can say that.
Yeah, which is also super cool too. You'll always have that piece of history to take with you that you were part of the first Patriots team ever in the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
is crazy to think about now. With
How
how
many
many more
Super Bowls
Super
they've
Bowls
gone
they've
to?
been to.
How many Super Bowls have they gone to now? Is it 8 or 9? Is it 8?
So it'd be 9.
9. Okay, yeah. It's
Yeah,
crazy, man.
which is
Crazy.
crazy. I know. I mean, luckily for me, growing up as a Patriots fan, I've gotten to see most of them in the Super Bowl
Yeah.
often. So that's pretty nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's super cool. That must be a really cool experience to just look back on that and say you were part of that piece of history though.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, one of the other things I've always been curious about with players in the NFL is how do you kind of stay in shape during the off season in a way to keep you prepared for the upcoming season, in terms of workouts and all of that to kind of get you ready for the next season.
Well, back then they didn't have OTAs like they have now.
Yeah.
And, they didn't have all the different things that they're doing now. So you were pretty much kind of on your own after the season was over with. You didn't have to report back to training camp until mini camp, which was in May. So you could either stay around the facilities. A lot of guys did, but a lot of guys, moved back to their hometowns or whatever during the off season. I stayed up there because I wanted to make sure that I was in the gym because you take probably probably a month, maybe a month and a half off and relax your body and get your body back from hurting again. And end of February, March, man, you're back in the gym and you're getting at it. And once May hits, once May hit, I always wanted to be in my top shape by May. Now, I didn't want to wait till July because a lot of players they wait till July to try to get in shape. Man, it's a tough, man, when you go into training camp and you're not in shape. So I would be in shape around May before I went to mini camp. I tried to be in the top shape that I could be, and so you back then you kind of just worked out on your own. But you had to have a lot of discipline. I think it's better for a lot of guys during this time, going through the OTAs, and they keep guys around. And I think that's better to be around the guys a lot during the off season. But it's something that you had to be disciplined, especially back then, because that, like I said, they didn't have the OTAs or all the things that they're doing now with the different teams.
Yeah, because it's tough. You have to really be able to maintain that motivation of working out on your own and making sure that you're ready to go for the next season, since there's nobody really helping you during the off season. And that period could be long for some people. I feel like if they're not ready to go, and then it's going to be a long start to the season for them.
Yeah, if you're not disciplined, man, it's going to be a struggle. A lot of guys, they would struggle coming into camp out of shape, and that's the worst thing you want to do is come into camp out of shape. So, it was pretty easy for me because I was a hard worker anyway. A lot of guys do struggle with it, but I try to stay in shape as much as possible, and and when I said take a month, 2 months and a half, I probably didn't take 2 months and a half. I probably took maybe like 2 or 3 weeks off because I was a gym rat, man. I stayed in the gym. I just wanted to stay in the best shape that I could be.
I mean, that's good though. That shows that work ethic, and that
Yeah.
shows why you were so successful too. You have to have that mindset of constantly thinking about what you can do to continue to improve and work hard and get yourself prepared as best as you can.
Yeah.
And yeah, I feel like, you see some players who get into the NFL and then they just don't work out for a variety of different reasons. So how much of it really is mental in terms of being able to have the right mindset to be able to sustain your career within the NFL?
My dad told me a long time ago that football is 80% mental and 20% physical. So to me, having that mental part down and being able to push yourself and being able to go work out on your own and being able to when you make a mistake on the field and you forget about that mistake and you go on to the next play, and you have some guys who they make a mistake, they're groping about that mistake 2 plays, 3 plays down the line, and you can't do that. So it's a mental game. One of the things that I learned playing ball is if you go into a game and you're mentally prepared and you're not physically prepared, you're probably not going to win. But if you go into the game and you're physically prepared and you're not mentally prepared, you're definitely not going to win. You're definitely not going to win. And so the thing that I try to do is be mentally and physically prepared for each and every game. There's so much, a lot of guys. I always thought, and I still believe this to the day. And it's not for every player, but most of the guys who stay injured or get injured are those guys who are not in the gym, are not mentally preparing themselves for things that they should be doing in the gym or out of the gym. And, everybody knows my story. When my I think my third year in the league, I got addicted to painkillers, and it's for the simple fact, and I talk about the mental part of it. Like my rookie season when I came in and I took Horace Ivory's job, and I took God, I can't think of his name again. This is bad. But anyway, when I took Horace Ivory's job, and I took God, what's that guy's name from Notre Dame, the running back? I just mentioned his name. Now I can't think of his name again. Crazy. But anyway, when they got hurt, and I took their job, and so my third year in the league, my rookie season, I got cracked ribs, and so now here's the mental part of it. I have to make a decision whether to stay on the field and play through the cracked ribs, or sit out for maybe 3 or 4 weeks, get my ribs healed up, and give somebody else an opportunity to take my job. And so I chose mentally. I chose to stay on the field and go through the pain. And one of the things that I had to do in order to go through the pain was take these cortisone shots in my side. And so I would take the shots in my side before the game. I would take the shots in my side at halftime. And when the game was over with, I probably got hit in my side. I have this big flap jacket on that kind of protect my ribs, but it never did. But after the game was over, I was in so much pain that I had to start taking painkillers. And the painkillers were available. The trainers gave us to us. It wasn't like we were going underground to get the painkillers. They were right there in the training room. And so just started taking these painkillers that whole season, and I was taking them so much that I was getting the upset stomach. And so one of the guys on the team, which was taking painkillers as well, said, "Man, if you smoke some marijuana, it'll take the nauseousness away from me." So I started smoking marijuana. The first time I smoked marijuana, and sure enough, it took the nauseousness away. And now I'm popping pills and I'm smoking marijuana, and it just led to bad things. It just led to bad things, and that's, to me, it's one of the mental errors that I made playing pro ball. And it was a big mental error on my career as well, because I'm almost positive I could have played longer, and I could have been more productive, if I wasn't going down that road. And but it led me to be able to write a book and share my story with a lot of people, and to encourage people that get addicted to drugs. And so it turned out great for me, because one of the things that I do now is just help people. I love helping people. I love giving back, because I'm gonna be totally honest with you, Gabby, I shouldn't even be talking to you right now. There's so many things in my book that I put that a lot of people said, "Man, wow, man, you you were really crazy." I shouldn't be here, man. I really shouldn't. And God spared my life. So I'm really dedicated now to just help as many people as possible. And I did that through my book. I can't travel as much as I want now. So one of the things that I try to do is as much as possible is get on Facebook or get on social media and tell people about my story, tell people about my book. So because there's so it's so sad to see people lose their lives over drugs, and they killing their families, and they're hurting their I mean, it's just a bad scene. Drugs is just a bad scene. No matter how old you are, no matter how young you are, when you get into that scene, it's a lot of trouble. And the biggest thing is the people that you hurt going down that journey. You hurt a lot of people. I hurt a lot of people, and so. But I thank God that I'm alive, that I'm talking to you today, and so life is good, man. I can't complain about life at all. I'm living the best life that I am right now, and I have a great wife. I have a great support system. I have a great family. I got 13 grandkids.
Oh my, that's a lot of grandkids.
I can't complain about nothing.
That's a lot of grandkids. A lot of people to buy gifts for. How old are they? Are they relatively young?
They run from now. We just had two twins. Twins. We just had twins, and they're the youngest. So they're probably like 7 months old now, and so from 7 months, and so my oldest grandson is 26 years old.
Oh wow! So they really do.
Wait, no, he's not 26. I take it back. He's 24 years old. My oldest grandson is 24 years old. Yeah.
Wow. So that's quite the difference in ages. That really is a wide variety.
Yeah.
That's fun though. That's a really big family. Really
It's
big
great.
family. I mean, also when you grow up with as many siblings as you had, you have to expect there's going to be a lot of kids down the line.
Yeah. I'm used to a family. I love family, man. I love being with my grandkids. I'm at my best when I'm with my grandkids. I'll put it to you that way.
Yeah, that's I mean, yeah, grandparents are awesome. They're the best. I think you said that really well. I mean, that's a tough path for people, and like you said, it's those relationships that people hurt when they go down that type of path, and it's really tough to watch somebody that you know and love go down and struggle with something like that. And being able to bounce back from something like that is very, very tough too for a lot of people. Once they kind of get in that, it's very, very hard to break out of that as well. So it's definitely something to look back on and feel like you kind of came out on top at the end of the day, and in terms of what you're doing now.
Yep. And the thing that I try to do when I if I ever get when I get a chance to talk to kids or people, one of the biggest things is if you never do drugs, you can never get addicted. You can never get addicted if you never ever do drugs. So you can never get addicted. There's some people who they try drugs for the very first time and they die, or they try drugs for the third time and they die. I was in the drug scene after I got out of football for 20 some years, probably, off and on. I stay clean for 6 months, I go back. I stay clean for 2 years, I go back. Back and forth. And through all those years that God has spared my life, I'm still here, I'm still living, and I think about a lot. Why am I still here? And there's other kids, they're not here. I mean, I'm not a better person than they are. Why am I still living? And I know the fact, why I'm still living is to help other people. And so that's my thing. I wake up every morning and I thank God that, I'm alive, and I just try to help as many people as possible.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. Yeah, helping people is definitely important. And I feel like there's a lot of people who could relate to what's in your book and what you talk about. And I'm sure it probably can help people in a lot of ways to read it. What are kind of the biggest messages you're hoping people can take away from your book?
I think one of the best things is that it doesn't matter what background you come from, or white, black. It doesn't matter. I came from a background. I grew up in the church. I went to church every Sunday, and so I knew about God. I knew right from wrong. I knew, and so drugs don't care who you are. They don't care where you come from. They don't care how great your parents are. They don't care, and so the biggest thing is this thing could tear up families no matter what walk of life, no matter where you live. And so I think the thing that I try to express to people, like I said before, if you never do drugs, you can never get addicted. And so that's the biggest thing for me is helping kids and just showing kids what they can do. But at the same time, if you do get addicted, you do get in that thing. One of the biggest things that I learned through my addiction is your mindset and how powerful your mind can be. If you could control your thoughts, you could control your life. And so that's the thing that we talk about. We talk about it in the book, and controlling thoughts. We talk about different things that I did. But I just tell my whole story in the book, and it's a pretty wild story. You should read it.
Yeah, I definitely am
You'll
gonna
be
read it.
amazed.
It's on Amazon, everybody, so you should all check it out, the book. I am so intrigued by it. I really am. Yeah, but I think that's really cool that you were able to do that and reflect on the experience and then come back and realize you want to help other people to not make that same mistake and be able to just help others through something like that if they may be struggling.
Yeah, yeah, that's what my life is all about now, Gabby. I'm not a big religious guy. I know that there is a God. I believe in God, and I mean, I there's no. That's the only reason I know for a fact that I'm still here.
Yeah.
Because the things that I've done, I shouldn't be here. So I definitely know that there is a God, and I'm on this earth for a purpose. Actually, we're all on this earth for a purpose. What you do, Gabby, is you whatever it is that you do, you got to understand that there's somebody that you are gonna help, and that somebody that's gonna need your help one day down the line. And so, and so you always got to be prepared. I try to help people as much as possible. I'm not the kind of guy that's gonna get out the car and give the guy $5 that's with the sign or anything like that. I'm not that type of guy. I'm the type of guy that I'm going to help you get a job. But but at every opportunity that I have, and when God puts on my heart to help someone, I try to do my best to do it.
Yeah, and that you said that really well about everybody having a purpose, and sometimes that purpose changes, throughout your life based
Mm-hmm.
on your experiences and what you're going through. And for you, obviously, there's so much you could take away from your experiences in your life, but why you're here now and what your purpose is now is so much different than it was when you were, just coming out of college.
Absolutely. I thought, growing up as a kid, and, when I got to the league, that, my purpose was to play in the NFL, man. Play in the NFL, make a lot of money, and, take care of my mom and dad. And, I did all those things, but that wasn't my purpose. That wasn't my purpose. It was part of my purpose, but my full purpose is, going through what I went through, and, God sparing my life. And now I know for a fact that my purpose is to help people. And the crazy thing about it too, Gabby, to be honest with you, my small hometown that I came from had one of the kids were dying from overdosing. My little small town. This is maybe 10 years ago. And so I was like, this is incredible. When I was growing up in that little small town, I never, I know there were probably drugs around or whatever. I never knew about it because I never was in that crowd,
Yeah.
but I never would would have thought that my little small hometown had a drug pandemic. It was pretty bad. So.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, it's you really never know, and it's people can just I feel like not realize how dangerous it can actually be in one thing and then you could be hooked and it's really unfortunate just kind of to hear some stories about people just who just go completely downhill after that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's sad. But I think that's great. I think what you're doing is great. I think I recommend everybody check out the book. I think there's something that we could all learn from it, and be able to reflect on our own lives and what we're doing. And it just shows that you can overcome tough situations like that and be able to kind of come back out on top. And it's just a matter of, a lot of different things, but also having that mental capacity of being like, like I can do better for myself and that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, when in my book, I think I give a lot of people hope because once you read the book and you see some of the things that I allowed to happen in my life and some of the things that I did, and being able to be in front of you right now, it gives people hope, especially moms and dads who are going through things with their kids. One of the things. That a mom and dad goes through when their kids are going through the drug thing is they don't know if you're going to ever come back home, and they're hurting and they're afraid, they're afraid to say things, they're afraid to do things, and so it's one of the things that I mentioned in the book is how my family just kept loving me. Through the times, through the different situations that I was in, they always loved me, and that's one of the things that we talk about in the book is, just how great love is. It's the four-letter word that's one of the most powerful words in the whole dictionary, and when you can show somebody some love and they can understand what you're trying to do, man, it's really powerful. So we just try to love kids back to their moms and dads, and their moms and dads back to their kids, because it goes both ways a lot of times.
Yeah. No, it's so true. It really does go both ways. And like you said, love is such a powerful thing. And if you have that, that's definitely the most important thing somebody could have in their life.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. I think that's really great. Definitely super powerful. Everyone check out the book for sure. I know
you can actually, if you go to Amazon, you're not going to get an autographed copy, but if you DM me on Facebook, or if you DM me on Instagram, it's the same price, but you actually the actually the one from Amazon, it's a couple dollars more. But if you DM me, I can autograph it for you, and you save $2 and you get a signed copy of it. So.
That's so cool. That's definitely what I'm going to be doing. I don't know about everybody else, but that's definitely what I'm going to be doing to get my copy. I love that. I love that story. I think that's really cool, and I think that's one of the things that makes you know what I mean? It makes you so unique and makes your story so unique, is just watching, everything from your career to that path that you went on to how you came out now. I think that's the most important thing that, defines really your career, is how you were able to bounce back.
Yeah. Life is good.
No, that's great. I think that's awesome. Yeah. Do you have, I mean, obviously, other than playing in the Super Bowl, which is obviously iconic in itself, is there any other game that you can pinpoint that was kind of your most memorable in your career?
I would have to say 1983, playing against the New York Jets, and I had 3 touchdowns and rushed for 212 yards, and that's a record that's still standing today.
Yep.
Nobody's beat that record yet. I would always, when Brady was with the Patriots, I was like, man, I don't have to worry about my record being broken because they throw the ball all the time. So we'll see what happens now. See if it's going to get broken anytime soon. They got some great running backs at New England right now. But the thing about the game now, man, they don't. unless you have a powerful line and you have that super running back, they're not running the ball a lot. We ran the ball a lot when I was in the league, and so maybe my record's gonna stand forever. I don't know.
That'd be cool. I hope it does. I really hope it does. But yeah, I mean, Brady, they never ran the ball. He just threw it all the time because he always had Gronk too.
Yeah,
He could just air the ball out to and have.
Yeah. When Brady was there, I said my record's not going to be broken as long as Brady's here, so I'm not worried about it.
And luckily for you, he's had over 20 years there, so you knew you were going to be pretty safe for that amount of time. But I mean, Gronk yesterday again announced his retirement.
I know
retirement.
I was thinking that he was going to come back. But you never know, man. This guy, Brady's going to probably talk him into coming back.
I kind of think so too. I was talking to a lot of my friends about it yesterday, and some of them said, "I'm not really buying that. I think Brady's going to give him a call during the season, and he's coming back." I'll believe it when I see it, but I think as long as Brady's still playing in Tampa Bay, I think there's a possibility we see Gronk make an appearance.
A good possibility.
But yeah, no, that's super cool. I think your story is really cool. I think everyone can definitely appreciate, what you come with and the messages that you're trying to send people, because at the end of the day, we can all have success in our lives, and we all have obstacles in our lives, but I feel like how we come out after the fact and what we do to continue to improve our life, no matter how much success we have or how many obstacles we do go through, is what the most important thing is.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that I think is the primary message that anybody can take in any situation that they're in, regardless of if it's similar to yours, different from yours. Everybody has things going on, and I think that primary message is something that anybody can take into the rest of their lives.
Yeah, my dad used to say, everybody has a story. Everybody has a story. So depending on what your story is. But and the crazy thing about it is your story, no matter what your story is, you're actually here on this earth to help somebody. So, you got a story.
Yeah. No, it's so true. I think I'm here to, help people in other ways too. But
yes, you are. Yes, you are.
But yeah, I like that message of, definitely be, be yourself, maintain that mentality of knowing that you are here for a reason, and be able to just figure out how to make the most of your life that you have here.
Yeah, life is much more fun. And I think much more easier too if you know what your purpose is. If you know that you have a purpose. There's a lot of people that's walking around this earth, man. They don't know what their purpose is. They don't know what they're doing. How great can their life be? But if you know what your purpose is, and you believe that you're here on this earth to help someone, man, you're gonna wake up every morning. This is what I do, and if you know my story, you be thinking, well, you should, because you should be here right now anyway. But I just wake up every morning. I thank God, and I look forward to every day to, I don't get out as much as I used to, but whenever I get out to meet people, I just try to encourage as many people as possible.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. That's definitely admirable, and I think we all can, try to have that mindset and just be thinking about how we can help people and make other people's lives better on top of ourselves, because helping people can really go a long way. And like you said, everyone has a story and we don't know what that is for everybody. But if we can make a positive difference in that person's life, it could go a really long way with them. And that's really cool to think about.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, I really appreciate you joining me on the show. This was fantastic. I know everyone else definitely appreciates it as well. Check out the book, everybody. I'm definitely checking out the book. I'm probably going to be trying to get my autographed copy now that was brought to the table as an offer. So I'm definitely going to be doing that. I'm really interested. I'm sure a lot of other people are as well. So I think your story is great. I think, keep doing what you're doing, keep making a difference for people. And I think that's all fantastic.
Thanks for having me, Gabby. It was fun, man.
Yeah, no, it
It was a
really
lot of
was.
fun.
I'll definitely have to get you back on the show at some
Absolutely.
point as well. I think you're a great guest. I think this was super fun. Everyone definitely appreciate you tuning into the show again. Every week I am always here. And appreciate you guys constantly supporting me, supporting the show. So check out the book. Everyone check out the podcast. So continue to subscribe and share it, and really appreciate all of you. Hope everyone has a fantastic rest of your week, and I will talk to you all soon. Take care, everyone.